Hello Internet, Ben here once again programming Mysterious Space, hopefully without the cat staticking the microphone in and out of existence. She's on my lap now. I will attempt to persuade her to not go by the computer. Who are we kidding? That's never going to work. But let's see how far we can get. Let me note the time just to make sure I don't go crazy overboard. Alright. It's not going to help. It'll help a little. It'll be okay. Let's get back to what we were doing. So there's a few issues, and there's been some distractions with like enumerations and serialization that we haven't done any of the things that kind of immediately need to be fixed. One is that you start with 3 fuel when you land on the planet. For this tutorial, I want you to have 2 of the 3 fuel, specifically 1 less than you need, right? There is a ship that just always requires less fuel. If you happened to go on the tutorial with that, I don't know how that would happen. Suppose you reset the tutorial. It needs to, right, it needs to account for that, is what I'm saying. So if you need 2 fuel, then for the purpose of the tutorial, you only need 1, and if you need 3, like most ships, then you only need 2, fine. The other thing is we've got like the clouds kind of disappearing. It's some odd issues related to wrapping around the level. And then also now I want the height of the level to be kind of more constrained, and also this fuel issue. So let's deal with the fuel issue first. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to say if start y isn't null, then you should use the start y, else you should calculate it yourself. And then, how does this work? It finds a random y. Oh god, this whole function. It finds from base y minus the margin, which is 0, minus 1, to the height minus 1. Right, anywhere from the bottom. I hope this is good enough. Let's try this out. It does keep it within a range. I think this will be okay. It is still random. It's really not what we want. We kind of want it to behave in a totally different fashion, and I wonder... I don't like this random range, basically. What I would like it to do is start from the very bottom row and just work its way up until it finds like the first available. And due to how shallow the level is, I feel like then we'll be guaranteed that we get something on screen. It is really a case, like for this tutorial though, where we almost want the level to be 100% designed and not procedurally generated at all. And I wonder if I'm kind of making things difficult for myself by insisting on using procedural generation for this tutorial. And I kind of think I am. But the other side of it is that I have no way in the game right now to have a static level. The cat is leaving and not in the direction of the computer, which is fantastic. So I just don't know. Like even if I generated a level, like suppose I used the procedural generation, got a level I wanted, and then said, okay, we're going to save that to a file using the serialization, right, which we just talked about and looked at. I could do that, but it would break whenever I changed the levels, kind of like I'm doing now. I change biome type to enum instead of constant, and then suddenly that's breaking the saved planet or something. I don't know in that particular case if it would, but something like that could easily break the save. And so I feel like I almost want an in-code way of just determining a layout. And that's just like this whole other thing to create, and I don't know if that's worth it right now. But I do think it is the more correct thing to do. Unless I can set up the procedurally generated level situation in such a way that we always get what we want, even if it's different every time, right? Which is more in the spirit of the game, but it's a tutorial. No one's seeing it. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, how often do you do the tutorial? It doesn't need to be randomly generated. It's fine, but let's see how this looks, and if there continue to be problems, I'm just going to have to figure out another way to do the levels. So what we need to do then is on the dwarf planet, which I think I called tutorial planet, tutorial world. So we want a start y for adding fuel, which will be the height of the level. I think -2, because the bottom 2 levels... Oh, I heard that noise too. There was a noise at the window, something hit it. The bad thing is that the window is nearish the computer, and so now the cat is investigating. Okay. If it goes out, then I'll just have to stop recording because I'm not gonna keep putting annotations on all the videos every time the cat whatever. Let's see what happens here. Um, Hopefully not crashing. That would be ideal. Uh, no, it's frozen up again. It really has trouble finding space for this fuel. That's really interesting. Call stack. Add fuel. Yeah, so where are you right now? Like, what is the, base Y is 13. What's the height of the level? 15. What's your margin? How has it gotten to, how have you not found a place? X equals 0 to width. Like, it has to find a place. It's impossible it's not finding a place to put the fuel. Except, clearly, it isn't impossible because it is having that problem. We shouldn't have... And there's no other fuel on the level, so that won't... that's not kicking in. Yeah, that's true, and we want that check. Like, at the very least, it would get to the height of the level. Maybe let's try not adding a fuel and see what kind of level we're getting, because maybe the level generation is just whack right now, and we need to look at that. That's not what we want. Why would you take me away from where I was looking? Okay. Let's not place the fuel. Let's see what the level is looking like. Because I did make it, like, bizarrely short, right? This is not something I have tested for at all. So let me put this a little more center for you guys. Blah, blah, blah. Gonna say a bunch of stuff. Yeah. So that's a thing. So no wonder it wasn't finding a place for the fuel, right? So height of 15 isn't enough. It used to be like 60. Let's do 60. It was like 60 times some other number. I don't remember. Let's just try 60, as long as it's a fixed height and it's short. And let's see what that looks like. I really don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember enough about the terrain generation. So okay. See, but that's way too deep. So okay, what if we only do 30 then? Like, what do we get? 30s, that's a lot less. Let's do 45. Let's remove 15 off the bottom. Let's see what that's going to look like. It would help if I knew. It also would help if I could skip this tutorial somehow. Hello, Captain. Yeah, I mean, that is better. So if we take 15 off, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We can absolutely take 15 off, and we would still have a good planet. Maybe we'll take 10. But again, I would really like the situation, and I'm worried that people come here, though, and just don't look lower. But I would like if they got far enough, they got close to the ground, they could see the fuel. Yeah. But this is good. That's interesting. That I guess what's happening is that this up here, when I said height 15, or like it must include the area here down to the clouds. I guess that is right, because on Ice Worlds you can get terrain that like pokes up above the clouds. Yeah, I forgot about that. So all this area up until I think we hit space, there's like the top 256. But yeah, once this gradient starts, I think that's fair game for terrain. So yeah, that's just what's happening. There's a lot of unused terrain. It seems a little wasteful, but and let's do like 30. Well, let's see if we can get away with 30. And I should also look at how it generates the ground. There might be some variation there that we're going to need to tighten up and say no. Specifically, make the height of the terrain, this one particular number. In fact, that's highly likely. So let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. See, I can live with that. This is what I want to see, right? Because when you come down here, you basically see the whole thing. Then when there's fuel in here, you'll see it. The only other thing, let's see. Well, I think it's probably okay. I was just going to say, I want to make sure that the fuel is inside dark blue, right? Like, if the fuel ends up being placed in this little thing, then I haven't taught the player anything. I've, in fact, maybe anti-taught them, and they're like, yeah, that just is different kind of terrain. Look, there was nothing in it, It might reinforce that misconception that players have. So I really want to make sure it gets placed on background. And I think for that reason, I'm going to want to code a new method for placing fuel. Um, and it shouldn't be, I don't think that's going to be that hard. So let's check a couple things. We still have this cloud issue. I'm pretty sure we're going to see that. Yeah, we've got clouds that disappear and reappear because I don't know, because this game is coded a little wonky. Let's see when it generates ground. It sets the height to 25. That's okay. See, so I didn't even remember that. So that's fine. So 25 out of, what was it, 30 or something? I wonder if it ever goes below the surface. Minimum. I just don't know if it can warp the deform, to have anything go below. I guess it's not possible because I always put 2 solid rows on the bottom. And the reason why it's 2 and not just 1 is I want to make sure there's enough space. Even if we're on the very bottom of the level, I want the mini-map to mostly be covering solid terrain, just so I'm not wasting space on the screen. It's kind of a weird reason, but there it is. So anyway, I mean, there's probably better ways you could fake that rather than actually storing level there, right? But again, this isn't, I'm going to delete this thing, which is in the trash. This isn't the Nintendo or Super Nintendo days, so we can get away with being wasteful. Let's leave this as it is. And let's, for the tutorial, or rather for the tutorial world, let's make our own custom add fuel. Add teaching fuel. I don't even know what to call that. Like add underground fuel. I don't know. I just can't call it add fuel, right? Because that is a unless it's virtual. It probably should be, because you could imagine different types or different planets. Which means we don't even need this. We're not using it now, so let's just go back to, I mean, we're going to change everything, right? So yeah, we'll make it virtual so that we can overwrite it. We're going to override it in the tutorial world. Override add fuel. And then we're going to add some fuel. So we're going to start from the bottom. Y equals something, height minus 1. We're going to have x equal, we'll just start from 0. It'll be fine. So sorry, let's do this then. For y equals height minus 1, y is greater than 0, y minus minus. So we're going to start from the bottom, count our way up. And then for x equals, for int x equals 0, x is less than width, x plus plus, and we'll go wrap all the way around the level. Because usually for a planet we'd want it to be a little more random, like you may have seen. I don't know if you noticed when we were looking at that old add fuel method, right? Kind of like picks a random x and then uses this funny offset and blah 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 to pick nice and random spots for all of our fuel. We don't care about that here. What we care about is terrain. T equals get terrain xy. Do not create it, and we want to say if it's not null and it's not solid, right? And it has a background. So here's the cat, who I hope, come on, come up here. Yeah, I don't want her near the computer. So let's, what is set? There we go, has background. Okay, we want it to have a background. We also want the terrain to the left and to the right to be empty, as we noted before. So we'll have t left equals get terrain x minus 1 y, and right to be x. And if you're worried about the fact, you're like, but what about when you're at 0 and x minus 1 is now negative 1? That doesn't exist. Well, fortunately, we check for that by doing what is essentially a modulus. And you know what? X equals x plus width mod width is probably fine. I think I was worried about that negative problem, so that'll be better. Right, we talked about this before, modulus. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it again. The cat is being crazy. I will put her down away from the computer. I hope you could hear any of that. She's, I don't know, being demanding. I don't want you on my lap. If only you could understand English. Well, here she comes anyway. We'll just have to live with it. And let's say t left is null. Oh, I have a better function for this. So t left solid equals terrain is solid, or I have something like this, is solid. Yes, is solid, x minus 1, y. Whoops, what's that? 1, 1. Allow slopes. No, don't allow slopes. Well, if there's a slope, you'll be able to dip down to get the fuel. So we can allow slopes. Okay, so I have this function. I was going to like do all this. I'd have to check for null, blah, blah, blah. I already have a thing for this. So left solid, and then t right solid. Right, sorry, there's a bool. We'll do the same thing. Except +1. And then, and this just returns, again, we're looking for not solid terrain on the left or right. So we need to say and t left, you know, and let's put, there's other ways to do this, but we want and this isn't solid or the right isn't solid, right? So let's double check this. So we want the t, it has to not be null, it has to not be solid, it has to have a background, right? Because we could have like terrain that's completely above ground, has nothing, that would be okay, that would be null, that would be empty terrain. But we don't want it to be empty because we want it to have a background. We want underground terrain, so we know that it's not going to be null. We know it's not going to be solid, but it does have a background. And left isn't solid or right isn't solid, so that it's a wide enough space, right? So we want underground terrain where left or right is not solid. Okay, this is where we will add the fuel. So we add fuel at, we do a new coordinate, fantastic. I don't remember if this takes the coordinate as pixel values. Yeah, that's pixel values. So it would be x times 32 minus 16 and y times 32 plus 32. So what I'm doing here is each tile is 32 pixels by 32 pixels. We want it in the middle of the x. I don't know how wide a fuel is off the top of my head. Let's actually just do like +4. Just to space a little from the left. Because I think a fuel is almost as wide, right, as a whole tile. The 4 might even be too much. Because the problem is this is going to get us the tile coordinate, the upper left tile coordinate. I need to position it somewhere inside. Same for this. Let's just try this and see what that looks like. Also, then we would return, right? We're all done. We found a place for the fuel. Okay, so this should find the fuel at the lowest possible point underground. Is a very short level, so we should, that's a fine name. It looks like it's not finding fuel positions after all. What's x? 38. It's kind of unsettling that that change that I found is where we're seeing the problem. Get first solid y at x. That's interesting. Where is that coming from? Find suitable tunnel start. Oh gosh. Why is that having trouble? Generate planet, carve tunnel. It's probably because the planet is so narrow. Gosh, right, and it can't find a suitable tunnel start. That's the problem, apparently. It's probably like I was saying, I worry that the terrain has deformed below the surface of the planet. But we didn't have a problem last time, right? Huh. Like, even when we had no level on screen, it just didn't do anything. It was fine. So why are we stuck while y is greater than or equal to height minus 10? Oh, because we're not letting it get too close to the surface. There's so many weird issues. So I know what the problem is, right? The allowable height is 20. We say you have to find something where you have at least 20 space of, where you're 20 from the bottom, right? Well, why? Yeah. So that's the problem. The whole world is lower than that point, and so it can't find a suitable thing. And again, this would never happen on such a shallow level. It's all these problems with like this normal procedural generation for levels. It's just, it's not set up for levels this tiny in this tightly constrained on how they can be built. So it's kind of interesting that I did that. Um, let's do this another way then. Where do we call this? We do it in the carved tunnels for tutorial world, right? Okay, so this is just a coordinate that it gets back. We can just, again, we can just pick a couple. So let's do that. New coordinate int. We'll do one at 0 and then get first solid y at x0. That will be one of the places we dig a tunnel. And then the other place we'll dig a tunnel will be at width by 4. And then we will also find it there. Okay. So we're just going to pick a couple specific points that are just below where the player starts. I think they always start at 0 here. I'm not 100% sure. We seem to be having problems anyway. For carving tunnels, it's possible that it can't carve enough tunnel. Do is greater than or equal to height minus radius. Again, it's too far down. So it's trying to like go up or something. Yeah, what is this? X, Y, first run. If it's first run, it has to go down, but the problem is the down is too far. What can we do? Let's think about this another way. We don't actually need to carve a tunnel. All we need to do is destroy, let's destroy terrain, and we'll just carve a couple craters out of the planet, basically, right? A couple circles will get carved out, and that's it. Then we'll know that they're shallow enough that they'll be visible by the player, right? This is going to solve a lot of problems at once. So we'll do 0, and then we'll do find, or was it first solid y at x0. And we'll do a radius of like 4 or whatever. And then we'll also destroy, again, we'll do it like, well, let's do it, we'll do width by 3 or something, place it a third. We'll make this one a little smaller. Okay. We don't need to even worry about the chance of spikiness anymore, to be honest. We're using a totally different, we don't even need to call carved tunnels. Is that necessitated? There, it's right there. That's like it. I didn't know if that was like an abstract that we had to override or something, but no. It's just part of this. Is this an abstract that we override? Yeah, but let's not mix it in with that. Generate the ground. We destroy the terrain. We prettify it. I'm also wondering, like, where does it add the 2? Remember I mentioned it adds 2 at the bottom. That might be part of prettify terrain or something. Maybe we'll find out that's not being done. Somewhere in the code, I forced the bottom 2 layers to be solid. I don't remember where that's done. Let's see if that's still done here, or if I've missed it somewhere. That might be done by, one of the parent classes. And I kind of forgot to mention that I restructured the planets a little. That was a few videos ago, though. So let's see what this looks like. Here's a little crater, where because of camera issues, the fuel doesn't always appear. And here's another crater. Look, we've made 2 craters. I think this is what we want. All we want to do is teach the player, go underground, get your fuel, now you can leave. That's all we need. We don't need to worry about carving tunnels and all this other madness. Of course, we have to fix this crazy nonsense issue. I don't know how this is driving me absolutely crazy. But you can see now that we've made a tutorial level, right? You're going to get a fuel. You're always going to see it. You're going to know that you can go under this. Whether you think it's water or anything, I don't care. Like, we can worry about those problems another time. It's not water, but it doesn't matter. You know that there are types of terrain you can go into, types of terrain you cannot. That is going to be excellent, and that's cool that it, the smoothing is kind of random. When I call smooth terrain, there's like I forget what the chance is. I don't think it's quite 50-50, but there's a chance it smooths into these diagonals and then, or just leaves it alone. And so, yeah, that's good. It just makes them look a little more wobbly, so they don't look. I was a little worried it was going to look exactly like oh, they carved the bottom of a circle out of this, or half a circle. But I think the 2 forced, we can see that's happened too, right? We forced 2 on the bottom, so that's kind of forcing them to be not quite a circle, and then the random smoothing, put smoothing in quotes, makes it look less that way. So that's fine. We've got little divots. They'll contain fuel. You'll come on this planet. You'll get the fuel. You'll get out. It'll be awesome if only we could fix this issue. I'm going to fix that another time. I'm going to look into the problem just myself and see if it's something stupid and uninteresting and trivial. Or if it turns out more complex, then I'll record a video, right? That's what I'm saying. If it's stupid and trivial, then I won't even record a video for it. I'll just tell you guys and be like, look, here it was, I fixed it, right? But if it's something more complicated, then we can get into it in the video. So it has been, this is my closest to 20-minute video yet. One other problem that remains is we need to start with the right amount of fuel. Also, you can't leave yet. You're just going to, right, we need to be able to leave to end the tutorial. So all those problems will be fixed in another video. Don't know if that's going to be today or not. I want to get lunch, and then I might decide that I want to, I don't know, play other video games. So thank you for watching, and until next time, have fun with whatever it is you're doing in life, even if it's not playing Mysterious Space. I hope you will come back and watch me program a little bit more. Thank you again, and goodbye.